the hero is always going to be that other guy. Talk to me a little bit about how you like kind of beating up on, let's say, a pretty boy or somebody that's got the crowd behind them, and how do you work that heel angle into kind of what you're doing?
Here's where I mess up the guys. Okay, you know how all these guys work, what they do. They're all into doing the jumps and doing the flips and doing the flops and doing all the... I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that's going to punch you in the face. I'm going to kick you in the head. I'm just going to stomp the dirt out of you. But that's the way I was taught.
Welcome to Mosaic Minds, the podcast where every episode is a colorful blend of perspectives, ideas, and conversation. Each week, our diverse team of hosts brings their unique backgrounds, experiences, and interests to the table. Mosaic Minds is your invitation to join the conversation to see the world through a kaleidoscope of viewpoints. So grab a seat, tune in, and let the mosaic unfold before you.
Control with it and say what you have to say without being belligerent about saying it.
Welcome back to Mosaic Minds Podcast. My name is Nick. This is Jason. And tonight we're diving deep into the world of pro wrestling like we have several times before with a guy who's been in the business for almost 4 decades. If you've been keeping up, we had Mr. Friday Night or Mike Noble on a few weeks ago, and TJ Powers is the guy that's standing in his corner, making sure that he keeps the WCWO Gunslinger Championship.
Yeah, well, that didn't work out.
Oh, yeah, I guess we're a little behind on that, but TJ, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing just fine.
Since you brought it up, let's go ahead and talk about that then. You said that didn't work out well, so why don't you kind of go into what happened there?
Mr. Friday, I might know, you know what? He's a good kid. He really is. And he's coming along really well, but his problem is that he's also kind of short fused, so he kind of lets his mouth overload what's going on. And, well, Friday night, they backfired on him. He let his mouth run too much. And Mike Noble is the new Gunslinger champion in WCWO. He ran his mouth enough that we had a tag match against, I don't know who the mask guy was, and IK3 on Saturday night. So I've got to have a nice little conversation with him on Tuesday when I see him at training camp.
Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah, he did have a lot of really nice things to say about you. I tried to promote that clip as much as I could, but yeah, he had a lot of nice things to say about you, and so we were excited to have you on. So
Thank
TJ,
you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about your history? I know you've done a lot of things for a while, and you've done more than just the WCWO. So just kind of tell us about some of the bigger things.
I started in the business in 1987. When I started, I was actually told I was too old then when I started, but to me it wasn't. I never had the aspirations of the WWF and WCW and all the stuff that I was able to do. I was happy. When I went to work for Dixon Bruiser, I was good. That was it right there. That's who I grew up watching. That's why I wanted to do what I do. But no, Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal's one that trained me, trained Basher, trained Dan Garza or Quicksilver, and a bunch of others. We were a bunch of us there, and I don't know. One day, a guy named Mike Sharp called Regal and said, "Hey, I need some workers." Regal picked me and 3 other guys, and off to across Wisconsin we went and worked at the WWF. I worked for him for 4 days.
Nice.
So my very first match ever was never in an independent show. My very first match was Brutus and Barber Beefcake at the WWF in front of about 50,000 people.
Let's do some strutting and some cutting, right?
Vince McMahon's actually the one that gave me the match.
That's awesome.
When back then you had to show up in suit and tie. So we're stopping at a gas station, taking turns in the bathroom, putting on a suit and tie to show up to the arena. We get there, we get in our gear, we all sit down the hallway. You know how arenas are in the back, they got them big openings, and we're just all sitting back there. Vince comes up and he tells me, "Well, we're going to pay you this for the match, then you're going to work Brutus and Barber, and we're going to pay you this for letting you cut your hair on national TV. And I said, not a problem.
Heck yeah.
So, and then it was on from there. I worked Tito Santana. I worked Big Boss Man. I did a couple of little things, a couple of dark match little stuff, but I never went looking for it. It came to me. You see what I'm saying? And when I came back, I never made an issue out of it. To me, it wasn't a big deal. Dude, I was doing what I wanted to do, and I've been doing it now for 40 years.
I think that's cool. The Brutus the Barber, I remember he used to be, I'm going to do some strutting and some cutting. So he used to come there with the hedge trimmers and Big Boss Man, from Cobb County. Everybody remembers him. Hey, I got a question for you. So it's slipping my mind, and I apologize for that. What was the big event at the high school where you guys packed the crowds there? What was the name of that about 3 weeks ago?
It's like Thunderstorm.
Yeah, Thunderstorm. Talk to me about
that was off the hook.
That was so. I was there in the bleachers, and we brought some coworkers for the first time. They brought their sons with them, which was really cool. Talk to me a little bit about the longevity of that match, because you had to have been in that ring 45 minutes to an hour. Talk to me a little bit about the mental approach there.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know I was starting the thing. I figured in my age, I was going to be towards the end of it somewhere, so I had not a clue. But here, I don't know. I guess when a lot of people look at me and they don't realize how old I am. You know what I mean? I guess, I know how old I am, but a lot of people see me, they don't see my age. They just see I'm just an older guy working. When they hear how old I am, they about shit, but I started that and I'm going, well, the rule of thumb is you have to be thrown over the top rope to lose, right? Or to get taken out of the match. I crawl under the rope. I can stand outside all day. That's what here's the difference. Here's the difference between the way I was taught to wrestle and the way these kids are taught to wrestle. Today's kids are taught to wrestle like what you see on TV, for the most part. Okay. I was taught to wrestle by not doing as much, but beating the hell out of you in the process of doing it, or using the rules to my advantage. Steve Regal, when he trained me, he told me, you're going to be a heel. I'm not going to train you to be anything else but a heel. Why? I do not know. But it has worked. I've walked into arenas where people don't know me. They boo me. And I've never had to interact with the crowd to piss them off.
See, that's it. Now, are we talking about Lord Steven Regal?
No. Mr. Electricity, okay. Steve Regal, he's married to Wilbur Snyder's daughter.
Okay, got it.
Everybody gets them confused. I know. It's all right, though.
Sorry about that.
No, don't be. You're fine. I mean, I wish I could have worked under him a little bit, but, it is what it is. But, I came back and started working independence, and I worked for Bruiser, up until he passed away. And, I did a lot of time in Chicago. There's a lot of work up north.
Now, the research we've done, did you have a match against Big Van Vader?
I worked Big Van Vader 4 times.
Wow.
I worked WCW for 3 years. I got that due to Rip Rogers.
Talk to Nick a little bit about the size of that guy, Big Van Vader. Talk to him about the size. I mean, you're a big dude, don't get me wrong, but Big Van Vader's really big. The chair you're sitting in,
he wouldn't sit in that chair, neither one of them. He was probably 400 pounds, 380, 400. But you remember when he powerbombed the guy and jacked his back up?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
It was a long time before he powerbombed again, wasn't it? Yeah, it wasn't until I showed up down there. I was the guy that he first powerbombed after hurting that kid. And it wasn't bad. I mean, I kissed my knee, but, it wasn't bad. But how many people can say they've worked WCW as World Heavyweight Champion 4 different times? And that's what he was when I worked him. So, he's a bull. He's a bull. I mean, it's just survival is what it is. It's just because there's not many moves that he does.
Yeah.
It's ground and pound and basically run over you. that's what he did. He just run over you.
What was one of the worst injuries that you had from wrestling?
Me and Austin James were tagging at the time as the High Rollers. We were in, two injuries. We were in Deadwood, South Dakota, and we were working Public Enemy. Teddy brought a snow shovel in, and he went to swing it, and I went to raise up my head. He hit me in the head, on the top of the head, and split me about 8 inches to the bone.
I'm gonna have to guess that wasn't planned, right? Like probably wasn't planned.
Nobody knew I was bleeding until I stood up. When I stood up, I looked like an old Ric Flair picture where he just covered in blood in the front.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's an accident. That's not an injury. My first injury is when I first met Dive Man Ronnie Vegas. Let's see, where were we? Hang on a minute. I think we were in Kansas, Illinois. We were tagging against Deputy Dog and Bobo Brazil Jr. Deputy Dog picked me up, and I don't know what happened. When I landed on my shoulder, and I dislocated it. How most times it goes front and back? Mine went down.
Oh my God.
It went under my armpit. But technically, that's the only actual injury that I've had since I've been in the business. I have been very fortunate. I mean, I got a knee replaced, so,
Switching sports a little bit with you, Indianapolis has a AAA baseball team, and then they call it the Show. Talk to me a little bit about what you were feeling the first time you went out in front of 50,000 people as opposed to a smaller production. How was that first 2-3 matches for you in front of all those fans?
Well, here's the difference between when I first walked out with the Brutus match. It was there, you couldn't see him because of all the lights. When you come out through the gorilla and through the entryway into the arena, it's so lit up. The person that because you're walking from the dark to the light, so you really can't see anything till you get in the ring. Then once you get in the ring, you can see them, but they're kind of in a fade because it's so bright. But they're there, and it's just like, oh wow, this is pretty wild. I mean, but I don't know. It's really weird. I mean, people ask me a lot of things, and I just don't. This was something I was born to do. In my past life, I was a professional wrestler somewhere. I just know it because it doesn't faze me the way it phases most people.
How did you come across the Indianapolis WCWO? Like, are you originally from Indianapolis?
Me and Basher trained together. We trained at the same time.
Okay.
I have been with WCWO since it started.
Okay.
WCWO to me has been a blessing because, 25 years ago, I went to broadcasting school, right? And being behind a microphone, wanting to cut some promos for you guys, and that's another topic kind of off screen, but we're getting to that, working with Reggie and stuff. And the biggest thing that I see is I like how everybody kind of has their image, and then certain guys come out, and for the audience, of Mosaic Minds, a heel is typically going to get booed. They can't do anything right. The hero is always going to be that other guy. Talk to me a little bit about how you like kind of beating up on, let's say, a pretty boy or somebody that's got the crowd behind them, and how do you work that heel angle into kind of what you're doing?
Well, here's where I mess up the guys. Okay. You know how all these guys work and what they do. They're all into doing the jumps and doing the flips and doing the flops and doing all that. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that's going to punch you in the face. I'm going to kick you in the head. I'm just going to stomp the dirt out of you. But that's the way I was taught. It's not saying I can't do moves, but my you want to say my character, as you per se, is smash mouth. It's not pretty, but I also know what I do, and what I need to do to help the talent progress up. Because here's the thing: as long as I've been doing it, no matter what I do, it's not going to make me or break me. So my job right now, the way I look at it is, in this business, is to pass on my knowledge of what I know, and that's what I'm trying to do with Mike. But when I work with the guys in the ring, I'm also passing on knowledge, teaching them. You don't have to do 9,000 things to get the crowd to understand what you're trying to tell them. When I punch a guy in the face, they know I've punched him in the face. But if I pick him up and spin him in the air like a tilt-a-whirl, they really don't care. Our crowds don't. Our crowds don't. I mean, some of them do, some of them don't. But for the most part, they want to see you fight. They want to see. I know we call it professional wrestling. I know we do, but as long as I've been doing it, I've never seen any. I've just seen guys kicking each other in the face. Pretty much just what I'm seeing.
Street brawl wrestling kind of merged in the middle there. I kind of liken it to like Axe and Smash Demolition or the Road Warriors. I mean, I
Pretty
outside
much.
looking in, I think those guys were very talented. They had good runs, but I think in all reality, their moves were just like I'm gonna beat the snot out of you in a street style match.
Right. But now, if
So-
you come up against, let's just say a Baden, that's really good, really talented. Just work with them. You know what I mean? Just do what you got to do to win. And there's not many things I can't do. My biggest thing is I'm like a Samoan Joe. You might call that. No, I ain't gonna be here. No, I'm going. See ya. I'll let you crash and burn in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first time I'd been to a professional wrestling match live was when I went to that Thunderstorm of any kind.
Really?
So yeah, and I loved it. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Where my surprise is, and I've asked Jason about this, but it's such a cool thing and it's such an affordable thing for a family to do on a Friday night. I'm surprised that there hasn't been some kind of investor come in or something that's tried to prop up.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think for Joey, kid as I call him, I've known him since he was a little bitty kid. So, but I think for him, what he done and what he's done with WCWO since his dad's passing, he's made it his own. He hasn't taken or diminished anything his dad's done. Our arena is still under his dad's logo as far as it goes. Oh, hello, we got us a guest. Come on, kid. You got to go on over here, honey. Oh, hey, sorry, guys.
That's all right.
No worse.
Okay, let's don't kill nobody and don't break nothing. Here, right here.
It's
There's
nice
your spot.
nice to see the softer side of the wrestler, with the cat.
Yeah, we got 3 cats and 5 dogs.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's a madhouse around here. But he's really done great. He's I think the Thunderstorm was really gonna turn things around for us as far as venues, because there's been so many promotions out here that's ran in places and they tear the building up or they make a big mess for the building leave to clean up. You know what I'm saying? When we go to a show with WCWO, we clean the building before we set up, we clean up during the show, and we clean up after the show's up. And we do not leave until all the chairs are put up, all the trash cans are emptied, all the messes are cleaned up, and there's nothing for the building to do when they come in on Monday morning to see what's going on. So
That's impressive. That's what it's all about, because when I was there, I'm not going to hide it at all. I was expecting maybe 50 people to be in line. I mean, it'd been all the way around the building.
Crazy.
There was 300 or 400
they
people.
said it was nuts. I didn't see it. I was already
My buddy
inside.
Nick-
I didn't see it.
Nick here had to call me to tell me where in line I was just so he could stand next to me in line. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
I was like, what? Don't get me wrong. Great production on Friday, but phenomenal production, good parking, good family fun. I think everybody had a great time and some superstars there. I mean, you're a star yourself, but Chavo Guerrero was there.
Chavo and Mr. Anderson and Mark Henry and but they said it was wrapped around the building. I was like, you ran against SmackDown. You don't know me, right? And here's the thing: we weren't trying to compete with SmackDown. We just it's like everybody else. You had 4 or 5 groups running over there in Fountain Square. I mean, they all seemed to do pretty good. We were just trying to capitalize on what was going to be here because, for one, they didn't do a package deal like they normally do. So people were going to the Rumble that maybe want to spend the money to go to SmackDown. I mean, a lot of that was walk-in, but we had 500 way before it was even ready to open the door. So
we had a
walk-in
coworker
after that.
We had a coworker bring her family of 4 that had never been to an event, so I think that was a win. And I think when you look at the production value and you see everybody having a good time and you see people on the front row, just little things like the wrestlers giving high fives to the kids and the children, signing autographs, taking photos with them. That's what it's all about. I've been to sporting events all over the country, and I find that it's a personable approach, but yet a good wrestling production, and the production value is high. That exceeded my expectation for the first time I was in there.
As long as I've been doing this outside of doing bigger shows for bigger companies, I've never done an independent show, because that's what you can say WCWO is independent, that does a production as well as they do. And he's not done. He's got some upgrades getting ready to happen too. So he's got other stuff coming, but I haven't, back in the day, you open the door and walk out, or the black curtain stuck to, they taped it to the wall, in front of the door or something. It's just a different game now. There's more, and people remember that. People remember, just like with WWE, they might be the two worst guys going out to the ring, but everybody remembers their entrance. Everybody remembers the music, the lights, the hoopla. People are kind of accustomed to that, so they want to see it. Well, Joey is come as close as he possibly can without blowing a building up.
I loved when he came out.
Show in Martinsville. We did a show in Martinsville. We had pyrotechnics and stuff. It was pretty cool, but it was an outside show.
Yeah, I loved when he came into the ring and smacked Mike, and you hear the smack too. He's like, with
the chair.
No, with his hand, but at the very beginning,
he smashed the tape down on Mike. I kept telling Mike quit running his mouth, Joey ain't gonna play with him. They just don't listen. The best thing about him now is that I've gotten older.
I think the talent level's there. I don't know if you were there that week. It's been about a month or two, but man, a guy kind of hand over hand on the braces and did a twist kick from, I'm going to say 15 feet up in the air. I mean, that's phenomenal talent.
These guys,
I mean, that's just some good stuff.
I'm going to tell you what, Dex Royal, Jackson Morgan. Jackson Morgan is our, what you'd consider our beginning trainer. He gets you to your bumps and teaches your basics. And then once you're ready for Dex, and you get up there and you learn the rest of your fundamentals that you need to learn to do what we do. And between him and the highlight reel, and Rachel Armstrong comes in and helps out every once in a while. WCWO turns out some of the best talent around, because they got guys training them that are trained. That's the problem. And I don't care to say it. There are too many promotions out here. Guys are running that think they can wrestle, that were trained but never trained properly, and they ain't worth a plug nickel trying to train other guys that ain't going to be worth a plug nickel.
Well, Dex, I got to be honest with you, man. If Dex was a middle linebacker and I was a running back, I think I'd have to run out of bounds just to get away from that guy. I mean, I think he holds back on his athleticism sometimes, just because he's a monster. I mean, he can jump. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete.
I know Dex from WCWO. I don't know much about him outside of that, but from what I was told, I guess he was a European basketball player for a while.
I could see that.
Wow.
That makes perfect sense, because he almost, yep.
If he was, congrats to him, but I'm just assuming too. That's just what I've heard. I haven't really looked into it, but he's a great guy, very respectful, and all the guys at WCW are very respectful. They've learned that there's a difference in the business between out in the ring and in the back.
Since you mentioned the school, because a lot of people don't know this, but you guys are not just a production, but you also have a school where you guys train wrestlers.
Correct. We have a training facility. It's we train on Sundays and Tuesdays. Sundays 2 to 4, Tuesdays 6 to 8. If anybody's interested, contact WCWO, and they'll give you all the particular details on coming in for a tryout. See if this is what you want to do. I see a lot of them show up, and a lot of them don't come back.
Stays. That's what I was going to ask.
Of course.
Do you think that's what I was going to ask next? Is, do you think that this is something that if they had their mind in the right place, that anybody can do?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No. Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying that not anybody can do it. Some people can do it and they pick it up really quickly. This is a sport, and I won't call it a sport. They want to call it entertainment. They can call it what they want. But if you're 270 pounds and I pick you up and I drop you, that's gravity taking effect. That's 270 pounds hitting a piece of plywood with some steel under it and a little bit of padding. It hurts. This is not.
Not for the weak.
No. Well, here's the thing. My rings when I started were all wood. So imagine taking your wall in your house and laying it flat and putting 4 ring posts on it and then bumping on the damn thing.
Yeah.
2x12 side, 2x10 centers, and plywood on top of it with some carpet padding. That was the wrestling rings I grew up in.
You can hear that. There's definitely no sound effects.
Well,
You can hear that.
Nick and I get headaches when our sound equipment doesn't work. I couldn't imagine going to practice and, hey, tonight's drill, you're going to get body slammed 75 times tonight and walk out to your car and do it all over again.
Through the ring. I got belly back suplex through the ring and at training. The guy, when I landed, I broke the post and I'm laying in a hole. I'm laying in the hole and Regal goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, just get me up." So, I mean, I've seen ropes break. I've seen a lot of bad things go on in wrestling too, but I mean, I've been cause of some of them too, though, so I can say too much.
Kind of a little off topic, but still wrestling, man. I think one of my favorite memories as a young man is I would eat a popsicle and try to act like George the Animal Steel, eating the turnbuckles and just having a great time. And he had that little monkey, and he would act like,
right.
I mean, he was just a nutcase.
Yeah,
you'll have to look at him.
Well, I wonder how many kids have broken an arm or a leg just because they were trying to mimic moves that they saw on professional wrestling. Absolutely. There's a ton.
You know what though? But I guess when I started watching it, it was that you didn't do that much at all, because really, if you go back and watch the earlier the Bruiser and back around the mid 70s, the 60s, and 70s, you'll notice there wasn't a lot of wrestling. They had a lot of holds.
That's true.
But it was a lot of punching and kicking and just trying to get over on one another. So I'm trying to incorporate what I grew up doing into what these kids are doing now, so I can work with them when I am working with them. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I would have done nothing else but this. I couldn't have think about it.
In the thread of Mosaic Minds, we're going to jump off track. We're going to jump out of the squared circle for just a minute. So,
no problem. Let's go.
What life lesson do you think you can teach somebody that's an aspiring sports star that wrestling correlates with in another sport? So what I'm trying to say there is, if I'm going to play soccer, what do you take away from wrestling in your training, your diet, your lifting, especially as a young, as you got started in the industry?
Well, for our business, it's a lot of cardio. Get your cardio up. I mean, strength training is nice, but having the big muscles and everything is just a good look.
Right. It's more aesthetic.
Yeah. It's not what you need. And then if you're going to transition anything that from us to them would be, remember, there's 2 sides of a sport. There's you out there playing, then there's you when you're not playing, interacting with fans. Because back in my day, heels didn't get to interact with fans. We had to stay in the locker room. No gimmick sales, no autograph signings. And I got to the point, I got tired of it. I said, even though I'm an ass, I don't have to be the super ass when I'm interacting with the crowd. I can, you know what I'm saying? There's a way to deal, and I learned how to separate the two. I separate TJ Powers, who goes to the ring, that's business. Then there's TJ Powers outside the ring. Now, if you're in the back of the locker room with it, you're surprised. Don't be surprised whatever you get there. But if it comes to business outside the ring, then I know how to conduct myself.
Now, being an historian of wrestling, I've heard stories like Ted DiBiase always had crisp $100 bills at a XYZ event because Vince always wanted him to carry that persona into a 5-star restaurant outside of the ring. So I think that's kind of where that kind of rubber meets the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes it nice when the guy wants you to do it, giving you the money.
Exactly. Now I got to ask you, and I don't want to get too personal with you. You can steer me down a different path.
Go ahead and ask whatever you want.
Wrestling name TJ Powers, original name TJ Powers, or is that kind of a ring name? How do you kind of navigate that?
TJ is real.
Okay, got it.
What it is, that's what my dad called me when I was a kid.
Nice.
If he called me, here's the thing: if he called me my real name, I was in trouble. I do something right.
There you go. There you go.
And Powers was given to me by a gentleman named Dallas James. He's no longer with us. Rest in peace, my brother. I was after Dick passed away, I started working with him in his promotion, and at that time, I was working for the city of Indianapolis. I mean, I'm not, you know what I mean? I was working for the park department. I was cutting grass, and he worked over at the old deaf school over there behind the fairgrounds. I just went over there and hanging out, and he was going, dude, we need to come up with you a name. We need to come up with this. Well, he originally wanted to call me Punk. And I said, you get a hold of Terry, and Terry okays it, I'll run with it. But if not, no. He goes, well, I don't want to deal with that either. So, and he's actually the one that gave me my persona. He came up with the back, and I try to tell these kids nowadays to help with your character, come up with a backstory. But we came up with a backstory back in the day, you know, just a rich kid. I bought and sold wrestlers. I was a heavyweight champ for a long time. And it's just been that ever since. I mean, I've walked out of interviews because they go, well, what's your real name? What's your TJ Powers, dude? What's that mean?
Exactly. Don't worry about it. Exactly.
That's cool.
But,
well, I'll tell you something that was pretty impressive whenever we went when we were at the Thunderstorm was those, and I know they're not from Indy, I don't think, but those two female wrestlers that were up there, they
were from
I want to say San Diego.
I thought from San Diego,
from a big indie promotion, and the other one is I think somebody that Chavo knew.
Okay.
But
yeah, so, they had the character down. I mean, to a T. The one lady was hilarious. You see the little kid? Like the one lady, this kid was like, I don't know, saying something to her, and she looked over at him, and she's like, "Shut up, kid," and like spit in his direction. It's like, wow, man. She had it down.
But see, that's what people forget. Well, at least a lot of the young kids, they're so worried about their match that they forget there's people there watching them.
Yeah.
So if you notice, even with me, even being the heel, when I was outside the ring walking around during the Rumble, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to people.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to me, they go, well, you ain't doing nothing. I don't know why I have to do anything. They're doing all the work. I'll wait till they get done. I'll get back in there. You know, I mean, it's not that you got to be a complete butthead to them. Just interact with them. That's all they want, is an interaction with you, because they're that. You don't get that WWE.
Fans here in Indianapolis that's listening to this, just a quick 30-second promo. When I went there and the coworker had two young sons and they got autographs of those pictures, you would think that those guys were the most famous wrestlers of all time, right?
Yeah.
So don't forget that when you have that 10-minute intermission, the autograph signing, the pictures, the stuff like that, that really sticks with it. Now you got lifetime fans. So I think the local promotion should take a tip of their cap to the general audience that's never been there, man. On Friday nights, doors open at 6:30, bells come on at 7:30. You really got to go if you haven't been, and once you're going to go back, because you'll be a fan. You'll be hooked.
You're not going to come to a promotion that for what the ticket prices is for your family to come out on a Friday night if you have nothing to do and you're sitting at home bored. 1151 Kentucky Avenue, WCW, Dub Arena. Come on out. 6:30, like you said, 6:30 doors open, bell time 7:30, and you just really don't know who you're going to see. I get from what I can see this week, Two Tough Tony's making a return. So,
well, from Louisville, right?
Yeah. So it looks like he's coming back up. Him and Malenko's got some things to settle, I guess.
We're ready there. The family of four can go there, grab a dog, grab a water. Family of four is getting in $60. $60, man, to the door, getting some food.
Best hot dogs in town.
You can't beat that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed going. I mean, it was, I didn't know what to expect, but I really liked it. I thought it was a good time.
Let's open up. Go ahead.
I wish these kids could have the chance I had with my career. Because I mean, I've been all over the place. The luckiest advantage I have, I was a truck driver. So when I had a show out of town, I just get a truck and take some breaks and go on,
That's funny. Let's take a little bit 5-minute sidestep a little bit here.
Okay.
Talk to us a little bit about what you do away from wrestling. Wrestling doesn't really come up in this segment here, but what do you do away from wrestling? What do you enjoy doing, man?
What do I do? To be honest with you, I'm retired. So wrestling's about all I really do now. I don't video games, believe it or not, for as old as I am, I still play video games, then we got dogs and everything we deal with, and we just, just deal with every day, just getting one day at a time, clean house, do all that kind of laundry, just
all the fun stuff.
You know what I mean? I don't have maids and butlers, none of that kind of good stuff.
Did you play any other sports in high school? Did you play any other sports in high school?
I played football and basketball. I was never really a good basketball player. I was more of the guy that guarded the goal, come running in, I knocked your feet out from underneath you. But, No, I played football. I wrestled a little bit in high school. I really wasn't no good at that kind of wrestling, but other than that, that was it. But you got to figure that I was in school in the 60s and 70s, so a little different deal then too.
Is there any plans for if, like kind of contingency plans, if it gets to where there's so many fans that people can't come in? Is there any any plan to expand?
Oh Lord,
or
you know what? You brought up a subject we have talked about. Right now, there's some plans in the work for some changes there at the arena. I'm not going to say what, because if I do and it doesn't happen, then I wind up looking, and then I get him mad at me. So I don't want that either. But no, he's got some ideas he's wanting to do, make some changes there, to maybe get a few more people in, this and the other. But if they can blow up like you're talking about, would be fantastic, where we had to go get basically an arena. It's like, to me, I'm thinking arena like what they used to have at World Class down in Texas. Yeah. They had their own little spot. They actually had the ring that was bolted to the floor. That's how permanent it was. So that would be fantastic. It really would. But it's all, baby steps. To be honest with you, I think he had news interviews this morning.
Okay.
From the after the firestorm, the thunderstorm thing. So it was from what I remembered he said the other day. But yeah, I've been all over the country, and a lot of these kids ain't gonna get that opportunity. There's too many people out there doing it now.
What's cool is I was at Cage Miss there, and I walked in. Like I said, I'm new to this. I've only been probably 15 to 20 weeks over here the last 3, 4, 5 months. But what was crazy is I was sitting on the top step. And the fire, they said they weren't allowing other people in, so I was on the top step standing up for Cage Miss there. And I was just making...
Where we had a little staircase going upstairs.
The staircase up where the production and the lights and stuff are up there. So that's how packed that event was.
Place. So. I have seen that place on numerous times, packed to where we've actually had to, unrated, they had to turn people away too. It got out of hand. He probably rethought the fact of maybe not putting the chairs up for that one, but people want to be comfortable too.
How long does it take to
that was a wild weekend for me. 3 matches in 12 hours. That was the first.
That's crazy.
How long does it take to tear down and set up? I mean, I don't know if you guys had to tear down the ring from the school.
Everything you've seen now after thunderstorm, we didn't tear nothing down. We left it all right there, and we came back. The arena's got a permanent ring sitting up. That ring at the arena you seen is the original WCWO ring that when the company started. It's a 20-foot ring in the arena. Yeah, but we can set up in 45 minutes if we have.
Wow, that's crazy.
Nick and I were debating.
That's everything.
Nick and I were debating because we couldn't see it feasibly possible to rip down at one venue, get set up at the other venue, and be ready. So the
arena is a permanent setup.
Cool.
There's nothing else that goes on there. It's strictly what it is. It's our I call it's our underground dojo.
Everybody's in the business to promote things, but man, I really feel like you guys really use that space very well. The walk up and the interaction with the crowd and the production value in that larger environment. You guys really stepped up to the plate on that. That wasn't just kind of the gym wasn't filled. I mean, the gym was packed. The lines were packed. It was booming in there.
Joey spent from the time he announced to us that we were going to do it, before he even announced to everybody else that we were doing it, he had already been sitting down and planning how he was going to lay it out. Because not only did we have to deal with just setting up in the teardown, but he had to deal with IPS school system.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just like, hey, here we go, and we're going to do this. But no, they had to kind of put their input in on how things were put together and how things were done. And he went up and beyond, like he like triple padded his ring poles. Anything that needed a pad underneath it got a pad on it so it wouldn't scratch the floor. I mean, we were there like at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon setting that up.
Killer.
So,
That's
I mean,
killer.
it was really meticulous on how we got, I mean, even all the barricades around the ring, every one of those was sitting on pieces of carpet for padding under their feet, so, then we did the covers, and this is what a lot of people don't know is there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. And here's the thing, if anybody wants to get into business, just because you can't be a wrestler doesn't mean there ain't something for you to do. I'm looking at trying to get 5 more years out, guys. If I can stay active till I'm 70, then I will be happy to retire and sit back and let these kids take over. But I work in the back. I still help set up and tear down. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm still doing, and I mean, I'm basically like an agent in the back too. I work with guys. I try to help them, guide them to whatever they're doing, but it's just, there's always something for somebody to do. Always.
It's a really efficient system. I mean, like the fact that the a lot of the refs were, helping with traffic and things like that, during the I think that's really cool. It's a great way to make it as efficient as possible.
WCW, the only place I've ever been is we've worked as a family. We've never worked. We're a dysfunctional family. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
We're nowhere near. But we work together. When it comes down to it, we got each other's backs and we're there for everybody. And everybody does their job that needs to be done.
I'm going to let Nick do kind of the standard send-off, but I want to tip my cap to you, man. And when a guy's your age, and this is a compliment to you, that's done what he's done, that's willing to give back. I'm in education, man. It's not about me at all. It's all about you. But at the end of the day, my family's been 100 years in the education sector, right? And when you can give back a skill set that you have and bring up that future generation and know that the organization's in good hands, man, that's a tip of the cap. That makes me smile because it shows to me that you understand it, you're giving back, and you enjoy it yourself, not just kind of self-centered with your mojo and then walk off into the sunset when you're done. So that's cool.
That's the way I was taught. Go to a locker room, sit down, be quiet, listen to the vets. That's how I learned. And if you had a question, you asked. Then you pass on that knowledge. Whether they pay attention or not, I'm just passing it on. It's up to them to whether or not they absorb it. So I'm willing to give it, I'm willing to listen.
Yep.
Ask anybody out there, they got a question, message me on my messenger. I'll answer it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is how can people get in touch with you? Is it the best on Facebook Messenger and that kind of thing?
I got Facebook, I got a Twitter, and I be honest with you, I don't know what the Twitter is. I just signed up for it. I follow WCW.
I'm the same way. Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying.
No, Facebook can be about the quickest if you're wanting a quick response because I'm not on Twitter that long to answer any messages anyway. So
of course.
But yeah, Facebook is about the quickest way to get a hold of me. Yeah, send a message to WCWO too. I mean, they'll get a hold of me too if you can't. If I don't respond to you, you're asking a question.
We've already plugged it once, but Friday nights, 6:30, open door, 7:30 bell. Could you give an address or just the general area of where I'm going if I want to go?
1151 Kentucky Avenue, Indianapolis, Indiana. It's over. You can literally toss a rock from our building to Lucas Oil Stadium.
There you go.
That's great.
If you need a landmark across the street, it's John's Fabulous Stew. Been there forever.
Sounds famous too. Yeah.
There you go.
Right across the street.
TJ, thank you so much for being on, man. This has been fun, and we'll probably have you back on again. I mean, I'm really liking what we're doing with the wrestling community. It's fun, So
anytime. I mean, anytime you want to promote a show, promote each other, whatever, you let me know. And if there's other guys you're interested in and can't get a hold of, you let me know. I'll get them on your show.
All right, let's do it.
If I hunt or truck, I'll get them on there.
Hell yeah. Right on.
All right.
Hey, thanks, man. If you could.